Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York sits a racetrack that defined and was the birthplace of post-World War road racing in North America. It's worthy of a test for any driver that comes to it. And here today, presented by Coastal Financial, it's the Racing Revolution and Coastal Financial Truck Series live on Vspeed. Here tonight, it's the Enginuity Power Systems 30-lap series. So we get set to square off for race number 2 of the season. Welcome in. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Just got finished up with Chicagoland there last Monday. Quick look at the points as we cycle through qualifying and our warm-ups. It's Alex Courgette Berube, your leader coming into this week. Trevor Keith, 4 points behind. Jeremy Burns, 4 points behind. It is tight for this top 3. And Jeremy Burns might be the car to beat here tonight. We'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But he is one of the fastest cars in practice, in qualifying, and overall across the board. Dakota Floyd tying some of his lap times. It's going to be all about consistency and who's going to survive turn 1 as we get a look at the configuration of Watkins Glen. This is how it goes. You go down this long front straightaway. You can see that red arrow. These trucks are going to get up to about 130, 140 miles per hour just as they send it off. And now right there at the grid, I think they're going to get up to about 110, 120. But wheel lock, wheel hop, big issue going into that corner. Very steep banking there on the runoff, and it's a really unforgiving part of the racetrack. If you go off there, you're almost guaranteed to lose control. The rumble strips take up probably 40% of that runoff area, and as soon as you cross over that transition, if you go too far over, you're going to end up with a speeding penalty. Then we go up the S's, down that back straight just to the bus stop chicane, then the carousel turn all the way around, wrapping back to a left-hander and a tight 90 degrees just before the straightaway on the front stretch. It's doesn't look very technical here, but it really is. It's one of the most difficult tracks on the schedule here next to Coda, which will be coming to that as well. So Circuit of the Americas is probably the hardest track and the biggest, but this is 2.45 miles, opened May 12th, 1956. And it's been on the iRacing service pretty much since it was released to the public. So one of the defining racetracks for sure. Race analysis up on your screen. 30 laps here tonight. Full course cautions will be inactive, so look out for that. They will have a stage break at lap 15, but full course cautions will not be thrown. They will take an entire clog up of the racetrack for the track stewards to decide. It'll be at their discretion if a yellow flag is thrown. And I'm going to bet that there probably won't be one unless we have, the front two cars blocking the entire racetrack. And even then, I think it'll be too late for these guys. There's certain parts of this racetrack that you're pretty much driving blind, especially through the uphill S's, through that carousel. It's very difficult to see what's on the other side. These walls are tall, and it's pretty much catch fence from there. And so with that, we're going to get ready to take you trackside now. Let's get that grid up on the screen, starting on the pole here today. Whenever ATVO wants to decide a 1:11, 1 minute 11, 8:19. First 1 minute 11 we've seen all day. Jeremy Burns on the pole. Dakota Floyd to his outside, about 0.08 of a second off there. 0.06 of a second, rather, for the second position. We'll have to see who's more consistent as these runs progress. Row number 2 belongs to Grant Thorpe. Morgan Cook, Vspeed's very own producer, getting out on the racetrack to run the Truck Series. 5th in the points here. Having a phenomenal start to the season after Chicagoland. Row number 3 goes to Devin Huggies Hudgens. Christopher Stange will start in 6th. Kevin Orlando Jr. and Justin Ritchie will be 7th and 8th position. And rounding out your top 10, it's Chris Nail in the number 88, Trevor Earhart in the number 99. Kenneth Lowry and Travis Gilbert will go to row number 6. Row number 7 belongs to Dustin Reinstedt. Reinstedtedley. Logan Threlkeld, another Vspeed producer. He'll start in 14th. 15th goes to Caleb Gilbert. Parker Johnston with a T, starting in 16th position. 17th, Grant Turner. Grant the Toes Turner got the foot cam here tonight. It's even got a shift indicator on it, so excited to get that up on the screen. Alex Forget Berube, your points leader coming into tonight, will start at 18th. 19th goes to Kyle Diaz. Jake Williams, 20th. 21st, Matthew Robinson, Michael Reed. These cars electing not to take a time from 22nd back to 23rd. Joe Joya in the number 17. Well, there's an aerial look at Watkins Glen as they pace around through the carousel now. Actually, this is the uphill S's. So we did start on the front stretch. I was wondering if this grid was going to start on the back. Some of these leagues don't want to pace all the way around this place because it messes with that fuel strategy. 2.5 miles, that's an eternity in these Craftsman trucks, and you're trying to figure out, how many laps you can go in a tank. This long pace around this place is going to throw these numbers off a little bit. You're guaranteed that these guys are on the clutch pedal here. Heavy. Something fierce. Right on with Dakota Floyd here to show you what I'm talking about. He's going to be as gingerly as possible, probably riding in 3rd or 4th gear until they come out of that final 2 set of turns. No reason to be in a lower gear burning up fuel. You try to let it coast here through the carousel. And hopefully we can get that iRacing safety car out of the way. I'm excited to go racing. So 23 cars going to start the grid here today. And just like we saw at Chicagoland, some familiar faces from the Cup Series are going to square it off. Live from Watkins Glen, it's the Enginuity Power Systems 30-lap run at the Glen. To lead lap number 1 from the pole, and it'll be the 72 Enginuity machine of Jeremy Burns. Grant Thorpe has worked his way up to the second spot now. Dakota Floyd back to third, and we've got some passing going on back here with Hudgens inside. 7 locks up the brakes. That was the wheel hop I was talking about. Thought maybe it would happen. Lap 1 ends up happening from lap 2 to Grant Turner. He falls back. Now side by side through the S's. Morgan Cook cuts him a break there. On board with their 7th place driver, Morgan Cook. So a big mover already here. Grant Turner up 11, but Kyle Diaz is up 8 positions. The 26 on the move as well. I believe he was 3 wide there coming out of turn 1. He's still trying to pick him up to the inside of Travis Gilbert. Actually had the 1 of Matthew Robinson peek to the outside. The back end of the 22, looking back at the 26. This is just outside the top 10 as well. Caleb Gilbert in the 54 is at the tail end of that. Kyle Diaz loses that spot to the 1 car as they go through turn 1. Matthew Robinson up to 12th now, gains 9. Down some positions, Christopher Stange. He lost a lot here on the start of this race. Started in 6th, and I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. He's fallen all the way back to 15th now. While we talk about that, the battle between Grant Thorpe and Dakota Floyd is starting to heat up. Jeremy Burns is clocked out already. He is 3 seconds ahead. On board with the 57 here. Started in 2nd. Looking to get 2nd position. Just a very line-oriented, consistent racetrack. You do not want to race the cars around you. You absolutely want to hit those marks every single time. You don't want to guess. You're aiming for a consistent lap and pray that the guy in front of you is off on his marks. Wait for him to make a mistake. It's very difficult, especially through this first half of the racetrack, to even get a pass completed. So you build that momentum up through the S's, hit this bus stop just right, and absolutely can have a run through this carousel. This is where you're going to see most of the overtakes. Is this turn here and just down the straightaway after it. Grant Turner loses a position. Morgan Cook moves up to 6th spot. Grant Turner still up 10, but lost a position just now. What a sharp looking machine though. I like the way that Orange and blue is anodized on that truck. Try to get a good look at it here as they come into turn one. Locks it up again. Gets a little sideways on the exit. Lap 5 underway, and peeking to the inside is Chris Nail. So through your top 10, you have Burns, Thorpe, Floyd, Orlando Jr., Hudgens, Cook, Turner, Nail, Ritchie, and Gilbert. Caleb Gilbert. Travis Gilbert right behind him there in 11. Your points leader back here in the 17th position. Got the victory with Chicagoland. And just looking to survive out here. Quiet Day locks it up there. Turns 6 and 7. A little wheel hop going into that entry. Forget only has a 4-point lead. He needs to pick up about 12 spots here to try to maintain that lead. And Jeremy Burns, who is clocked out 6.7 seconds there at one point. Probably out of this bus stop, it'll climb to that number. There's Grant Thorpe, Dakota Floyd. We've got a battle starting to heat up back for the 6th position. On board with Grant the Toes Turner. Almost gets into the back of Morgan Cook here. And his indicator stopped working there for a second. It's back to working now. You can see the shift light on it. A little bit delayed here. He's working that wheel back and forth a lot. It's the 6 of Justin Ritchie that fell back here. Cook got another position from Hudgens. And Ritchie moved to the inside. Let's get back to this TV1 angle on that. 6 of Justin Ritchie absolutely capitalized on that situation. Put him up 2 positions now. Kevin Orlando Jr. is 2.93 seconds roughly back from Dakota Floyd, 11 seconds back from the lead. Jeremy Burns is in clean air, and he's just running away with this thing. Continuing to stay on pace at a 1:12.545 last time by. His best lap, a 1:11.916. Didn't see that at all in practice. He is burning this place down right now. Raw speed around Watkins Glen. Let's go on board with the 72. Go in-car camera and see what it looks like from his point of view on how to get around Watkins Glen. Not sure if he's aware if he's on camera or not. So hopefully the curse of the commentator doesn't grab a hold of this 72. See, up through the S is really smooth. Nicely done there through that portion of the racetrack. Stretches the lead out even further to 9 seconds. The way that he just angled that truck around that bus stop chicane on that inside wall. It is an art. He's actually driving a little bit off canter. I think maybe he had to change something on his black box. Almost locks it up here through the final 2 turns. And that's a lap around. Watkins Glen. But for everybody that is 7th place on back, they are still in contention to make some passes and get up here in the top 10. From Grant Turner all the way back to probably Parker Johnston, look at Threlkeld, all these trucks have a chance to get into this top 10 or stay in it. So go on board with Santa. This is iRacing Santa. You can watch some pedal work on board. Very similar shift points, I will add, to the 72 of Jeremy Burns up that uphill in the chicane. I don't know if he's going to angle this thing the same way. Let's do it justice here on our gyro camera. Not quite the same sweep into the bus stop. But he is on pace. He does have speed. Last time by, he was faster than Parker Johnston by almost a full second. Just want to keep this thing on the pavement. That's the main focus here. As Justin Ritchie hangs with Morgan Cook, approaching stage number 1. And it's looking more and more like Jeremy Burns is going to run away with this place. Christopher Stange on the back bumper of the 26. Kyle Diaz has his hands full here on the uphill portion of the racetrack. Is Stange going to look to the inside through the bus stop? He was peeking. Brakes early to let the 26 through there. Stange a little bit conservative. It's going to allow Devin Hudgens and the 48 of Parker Johnston to his back bumper. Watching here in real time with how these guys adjust as these tires start to wear out. The fuel tanks get a little bit more empty. The back of that truck's getting a little bit lighter. So when they say trying to hit those consistent marks, it's being consistent on your marks. It's not so much that the line is going to be the same every single lap. This truck is ever changing. It adapts. Handling sideways here. I think that was the 22. Hudgens had to avoid it, ends up losing some spots. Back to 14th. So in the downhill into turn 1, and it looks like the 22 loses control. Lock up right here. Yes, it is. And sideways, I believe it was the 54 that got into him. They stay green, and Travis Gilbert now has to figure out how to get back up there towards that top 10. Parker Johnston, Caleb Gilbert go back and forth through these final 2 turns. Johnston gets cleared. Looks like a truck coming down pit road here. It's Caleb Gilbert in the 54. And this might have been the cutoff lap for closing pit road, is why he elected to come in this time by. 26 is around into turn 1. Kyle Diaz loses a ton of ground. And the war of attrition continues. Diaz back to 17th now. Looking here from the blimp camera. More lockup. More the same of what we saw there with the 22. 72 of Jeremy Burns comes down pit road on lap 13. So he's going to hand over the stage to the 57 of Dakota Floyd. Interesting strategy call here. Count this just yet. Floyd still has to hold on to it for another lap. He has Grant Thorpe just behind him here, within striking distance, about 8/10. Should be white flag in the air for the stage 1 at the halfway mark. From Watkins Glen, Dakota Floyd, can he go out one more lap? Is he going to be short on fuel? He doesn't have a choice. Pit road's closed. Top 10 as it sits right now: Floyd, Thorpe, Orlando Jr., Ritchie, Cook, Turner, Nail, Stange, Johnston, and Logan Threlkel into the top 10. Closest battle on the racetrack currently is the battle for the top 10 here. Devin Hudgens try to go get some stage points. Relkel got his hands full there through the S's. Just needs to hold on to it. Don't look in the mirror. Keep it straight. And play some defense. He has to pass you. He can't drive through you. As long as you keep that truck on the surface, you're good. We know where to go for Devin Hudgens. Coming by to win the stage, Dakota Floyd gets stage number 1. They should throw a yellow here. Any second now, I think they should throw a yellow here. There's the yellow. Jeremy Burns comes down pit road, hands the stage over to the 57, but he won't have to pit. So that's the flip side of this. He will be on a little bit warmer tires and ready to go, versus these guys that are going to come down pit road, get 4 fresh ones. It's going to take about half a lap to get these things up to temp. Really, it's going to take a full lap before you can push it. Top 10 on the left-hand side. Look at Threlkel at the tail end for these stage points as they catch up to the pace car. Well, stage 1 is complete. Trying to get my graphics to work. There we go. Don't go anywhere. We've still got plenty of coverage left on Vspeed. The second half of the race, presented by Coastal Financial and Racing Revolution. It is the Enginuity Power Systems race at the Glen, live on Vspeed.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. You know, it's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live on Vspeed, back at WATKINS GLEN International, the Enginuity Power Systems, race number 2 of the season for the Coastal Financial Truck Series. Jeremy Burns gives up the stage victory, but a little bit of strategy being played between him and Dakota Floyd. Caleb Gilbert also pulling that strategy, coming down pit road on lap 13. So early pit stops just before that stage break. You know how important points are, and these stage points are going to show when we come playoff time. Jeremy Burns might regret that. I don't know. I mean, it's probably not going to hurt him. He is about a second faster than everyone through this field, so I would venture to say it's not gonna do him any harm, but it does kind of set him off a little bit. He's got 4 lap older tires than the guys around him. Caleb Gilbert came down a lap sooner as we get set to go back green. Probably 2 laps up to speed. The rest has been pacing, but catching up to that pace car, cycling around this place. They have enough fuel. Fuel's not really going to be the factor. It's trying to generate heat in those tires. You can see some guys there on the left-hand line trying to get some of that heat going. This is going to be interesting. I don't know. I have complete faith in Jeremy Burns' ability to keep this truck up front, but I also have complete faith in Dakota Floyd and Grant Thorpe to go up here and snag the lead away and maybe play defense for a few laps and hold this 72 up, because if they don't get around him here, they might not see him again. He pulled out to almost a 10-second lead, a little more than that, before he came down pit road. That's about an eighth of the way around this place. And all but lost sight of him. They probably got glimpses of the 72 truck as they were coming down the hill. The iRacing safety car making the right-hand turn for the second time today. Stage number 2. Gonna have just over 10 laps to go from the Glen. Looks like sideways back here. Justin Ritchie, there's a cluster back here. The 7 truck of Grant Turner got sideways. They're smoking him back here with Gilbert, and trucks into the wall. Travis Gilbert loses everything here through the S's. And Grant Turner goes around right after that. So we'll get a look here through the S's. And then not long after that, the 7 through the bus stop chicane goes sideways. There's a checkup out ahead of this, but the 22 loses it all on his own. Ends up taking 2 trucks to the wall. And he hop up here into this chicane, touches the grass, and that's Grant the Toes Turner somehow kept it off the wall. On board with the 7. Able to lock it down. That was heavy braking there. I think it's Chris Nail in front of him. And he's lucky he wasn't Chris Nailed from the entry of that chicane. That's right. I can do it too, Morgan. I can do it too. Jeremy Burns has already pulled that lead out, though, to a full second. Caleb Gilbert holding on really well. And, you know, based off of 6 laps, like I said, 2 or 3 up to speed, these guys have the heat in their tires. And, you know, iRacing really good about, with their newer tire model, kind of matching that heat cycle. You hear drivers talk about scuff tires, where they kind of mark those tires in. They wear off that top coat on the fresh rubber and kind of texturize these tires, and that's essentially what is simulated here. Is these tires have went through a heat cycle, they're ready to go, and they're not necessarily hot anymore because of that caution. It makes it so much easier to get this thing back to pace speed, and what would probably take Dakota Floyd, Grant Thorpe, and the rest of this field a lap and a half, 2 laps to get to. These guys are all running that pace. That's what the mentality was of coming down for that pit stop. So genius move there from Jeremy Burns. He's done this before. Certainly has been in this situation. It's back here with Grant Thorpe all over the back bumper there for a moment on Dakota Floyd. He has his hands full. Logan Threlkeld on the move. He continues to gain positions, up 6 spots now into the 8th position. Kevin Orlando in 5th. Biggest mover of this race right now is Parker Johnston. Running just in front of Logan Threlkeld, 9 spots, and he gets a little loose there. Threlkeld might have an opportunity out of this final corner. Doesn't get the run off. Maybe he would have a look to the inside there, but just couldn't get the truck underneath of him. These guys, you know, 7th on back, it's been tight racing. And it's been like that from the start. If you're just tuning in, it kind of branches out in the top 5. Jeremy Burns has continuously pulled away from this field. But if you go 2nd to 3rd, it's tight. If you go 4th to 5th, it's pretty tight. You go on back 7th through probably 10th position right now. They're all within 5 to 8 tenths of each other. This is close battle racing. One of these guys makes a mistake through the carousel, through the bus stop, 8 tenths disappears just like that. It's instantaneous. So. Gotta be perfect here at Watkins Glen. Less than 10 to go. Going around here with Parker Johnson, not a lot going on there. Christopher Stange in 9th. Trying to figure out his way around Logan Threlkeld. A little bit of wheel hop there into 1. Not going to have a good exit. You can see Threlkeld just blasts away. Now we got to look for another close battle on this racetrack. It is probably Caleb Gilbert, who had some issues, lost some positions, falls back to 4th. Dakota Floyd will have to go back on our Vspeed instant replay. And Morgan Cook maybe has an accident here. Not sure what happened to him. Into 1, locks it up. So we showed you that. Now we're going to try to find out what happened to Caleb Gilbert. This might take me a minute here. I think it's an off-track penalty that got a hold of him here. This is through the chicane. And he had just got passed by Dakota Floyd. Let's go back one more time here on the margin. This is the pass on the 54. So we missed this. He went out wide here on the exit of 1, and this is where Dakota Floyd puts him too wide up the hill. But he has the preferred line going into that second turn. And that's why the 54 lost that spot, and he ends up losing another one out of it. We'll go back to the live shot now. 5.6 seconds. Jeremy Burns continues to pull. Grant Thorpe in 3rd. Caleb Gilbert, Chris Nail, the top 5. Lando Jr., Parker Johnston, Logan Threlkeld, Christopher Stange, and Devin Hudgens. Your top 10. Well, 5 laps to go here from the Glen. Just say we go on board with Devin Hudgens. Why not? In the VR. You can look every which way in this truck. But the best angle for me is this broadcast booth. I despise road racing in stock cars. I can't do it. I don't know how Devin Hudgens is doing it in VR. I already have enough problems figuring out where I am on the racetrack as it is. And for Hudgens to do what he does, phenomenal. Well, we accidentally hit the wrong button there. We'll go back to the live shot. Trying to cycle that camera off. So we got side by side up here with the 27 and the 48. This is for the 6th position. Preferred line for Kevin Orlando, as long as he doesn't lock it up. Here's Logan Threlkeld looking to the inside. And Devin Hudgens loses control. He just came off of his camera, and he looked around there a little bit confused for a moment. We'll go back to the live action, though. Threlkeld was coming up the hill, had the advantage coming out of 1. Had to lift off the throttle and ends up going back to Stange. You're looking at a top 5 possible here for the 18. Chris Nail, Caleb Gilbert still a little wide there off the exits. It's starting to accordion back together from second on back. 4 laps to go. There's this guy to take that mark. 3 now. Jeremy Burns, 7.5 seconds from Dakota Floyd. Battle for second position here tonight from Watkins Glen. They are keeping him honest, though. If Jeremy Burns were to make a mistake, he can afford to make a couple, but he can't make a big one. Here at Parker Johnston. He fell back a spot. So it's up to Threlkeld to chase down Kevin Orlando. He's about a second slower. This time by 3/10 off of the 27. On board with iRacing Santa. There's the 91 to the outside of Michael Reed. Not a place you want to be. And Threlkeld has caught up now to Caleb Gilbert. We're watching about 5th through 8th position kind of bring it back together in these closing laps. 2 laps to go. It'll be white flag in the air now for Jeremy Burns. One more time around this 2.5-mile racetrack, the winding road in the vineyards of upstate New York. Since 1958, this track has put on some of the best road racing. It was one of the first to do it in North America. Jeremy Burns is apparently able to solve the enigma. This post-World War II construction. 57 of Floyd, the 77 of Grant Thorpe almost look untouchable for their positions as well. Some racing going on back here. Still fighting amongst themselves through the bus stop. So it's not all said and done if you're Caleb Gilbert Logan Threlkeld and a few of these other guys from 6th on back, but it is said and done here for this guy. Coming out of the final corner for the final time from Watkins Glen, it's the Enginuity Power Systems Chevrolet Silverado getting the win in the Enginuity Power Systems race at the Glen. We'll go back here and look. Some racing off of the final corner. The 30th Stange is going to get 8th. Kyle Diaz just behind. I think some mistakes were made by a couple of these trucks coming out of the final corner. And in good fashion, we're going to total these things. Dakota Floyd, Grant Thorpe get the top 3 at 9 seconds, 9.5 for the 72 as he makes his parade lap and cools down. No, I say cool down. That's not cooling it down. Well, that gives us our opportunity here to pull your race winner into the broadcast booth. We're going to try to hunt for him here. I believe he was in performance. He was at one point anyway. There he is. All right, we're going to try this as best we can. Into the waiting room. Now into the studio. Jeremy Burns, congratulations on the victory. Just put on another clinic. I mean, you're no stranger to these places, and I can't say that I'm surprised overall, but I was a little bit surprised that you gave up that stage win in the name of tires, but after you did it, it all made sense.
Yeah. I really thought more people were going to flip the stage there. Fuel-wise, it kind of gave me the benefit of restarting on warmer tires, and I didn't really push it there towards the end of the stage. I had a lot of fun there. It was a lot of fun to come out here. A lot of these guys have been putting in a lot of work. I've been hosting. I hosted a practice on Friday to help these guys come out and get some laps in, and you can see it. I mean, a guy that I want to shout out especially is Morgan Cook. He put in a lot of time this week, and he may have not gotten the finish that he necessarily wanted out of it, but he showed through his qualifying efforts and race pace that, I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with here, and so are a lot of these new guys as well. I know Dakota Floyd was up there, and then you have your normal suspects. I know Grant Thorpe was up there as well, so it was a lot of fun. Just kept it nice and smooth, and executed, and made sure that the restarts were good, and yeah, now we're going to be in victory lane, and I guess we're in the playoffs now.
Lock yourself in week number 2. Now, is it set on cruise control? Do you lift off the throttle, or you just keep it pegged all the way to those final 4 weeks?
I mean, we're going to keep pushing, obviously. We want the best finish that we can get on a weekly basis, and not only for us, but for the team as well. We're definitely going to be pushing a lot harder. I like these trucks, and it gives me good practice for the college series as well. The way that they handle, the way that you get up beside somebody side drafting, and especially on the 1.5 miles, the way that the cars kind of rely on momentum. I think that helps a lot getting practice at that. So definitely gonna be pushing it, see what all we can do in this series, and of course, Enginuity's power systems on the hood. Definitely want to come out and show out for them. They do a lot for this league, and it's great to get a win with the name on the hood and name on the race. So that was really awesome.
Yeah, I think I touched on that right there at the end. That Enginuity Power Systems, Coastal Financial, got Earhart Holmes as well. I actually kind of forgot that white flag again here tonight. I try not to do that, but shout out to them as well. Anybody else you got in mind here, Jeremy, before we let you go?
Gotta give a big shout out to Delta Sigma Pi. I just got initiated today. That's the business fraternity here at Longwood. So huge shout out to them. My mom and dad, Josie, Dylan, Coach P, Sonny, my grandma, Miss Betsy for their continuous support. Julie, Derek, Caroline, Shannon, Belinda, Betty and Colleen, Element X for everything that they've done. I know Metroplex is my sponsor over in the Cup Series. So huge shout out to them. Really haven't had an interview yet this season. So huge shout out to them for signing on, and Enginuity Power Systems for not only what they do for the league, but for sponsoring the truck this season. Chapman Environmental, Buck Kicker, Coast Financial, all the normal guys, Ultimate Exterior Lighting, Earhart Holmes, All About Bugs, you guys up here at Vspeed as well, and all these admins and, you know, the drivers that came out here tonight. I mean, if it wasn't for them and their continuous practice, it wouldn't be the same. And, you know, it forces me to go out and practice myself and, you know, make myself better. So it's really good for all these drivers to get out here and log laps. And yeah, we'll take it in next week.
Appreciate your time. Jeremy Burns, victorious week number 2 at Watkins Glen. Can't say that we're surprised, but we will see you in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
With that, we're going to round up some of these other drivers for the top 3, but we have some final race results, some other things to get fixed up here from the Glen. We appreciate you tuning in so far. More post-race coverage will continue here just momentarily on Vspeed. Don't go anywhere. Well, we're back here live from Watkins Glen. Coastal Financial Truck Series has concluded its 30-lap event. The Enginuity Power Systems race at Watkins Glen. Our mission at Coastal Financial is to provide comprehensive financial planning solutions tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals, with the aim of empowering our clients to make informed financial decisions and achieve their financial potential. You can find us at coastalfinancial.com or on Facebook at Coastal Financial. Final results coming up on your screen. The only caution here tonight was the stage at lap 15. Jeremy Burns, 9.4 seconds ahead. Dakota Floyd and Grant Thorpe, we'll get a word with them just momentarily. It's Chris Nail with a top 5, the 88. Clawing his way back up from 9th position. Kevin Orlando Jr. from 7th to 5th. Caleb Gilbert loses some spots here. In the grand scheme of things, though, he's still one of the top gainers with 9 spots. He'll finish 6th. 7th, Logan Threlkel. Congratulations to him. That a boy. Christopher Stange will finish in 8th. Kyle Diaz in 9th. Rounding out your top 10 is Parker Johnston in the 48. Your points leader coming into tonight, well, he gets 11th, so mitigated some of that damage. He will be locked into the playoffs, but does lose the points lead after tonight. He'll finish in 11th position. Dustin Reinstedel, good to say that name again. He'll finish in 12th. 13th, Matthew Robinson. 14th goes to Devin Hudgens. Then you have Jake Williams, and 15th, Grant Turner. 16th. 17th, Morgan Cook. Looks like Michael Reed in 18th with Travis Gilbert and Justin Ritchie. Tough break for Justin Ritchie. He's actually crashed out here 2 laps, 3 laps down. My scoring and race results a little bit broken here. Ritchie being scored in 21st. So all these cars here at the tail end had either taken an early exit, maybe came back out, stayed on the racetrack. Race results get us a little bit confused for the guys that put it behind the wall versus the guys that stay on pit road, and maybe they are behind, but because they tow to pits, timing and scoring doesn't quite refresh properly, and I apologize for that as well. But with that, it's time to pull up your second place finisher. We're going to bring up Dakota Floyd in the number 57. I got to say, Dakota, you did a lot better than I thought you would. No offense to you, but I mean, you were within, half a second for most of these laps, but that accumulates over the course of 30 laps. It's really hard to stay with the 72, but you were able to get back up there to second, even with that strategy.
Yeah, name of the game today was just qualify good and keep it there, and thankfully it ended up working out. We fell to third both times on the restarts, and at that point I was just like, I'll run clean lines and then just hope I can start outpacing them towards the end of the run. And thankfully I was able to capitalize on a couple of mistakes and get back to P2 and just run consistent laps and keep the truck in one piece.
Well, it's, starting off kind of shady at Chicagoland. Things didn't quite work out the way that you wanted it to. You come here, though, without those cautions and everything, resetting repeatedly. It's a little bit easier to run consistently and just kind of set it on cruise control at a certain point.
Yeah, I think so. It definitely gives you a nice mental reset and lets you really get back into your groove there. And like I said, I know it was going to be tough to even have close to Burns' pace there, and I was just happy to be able to put the truck in second and have a good points day. Excellent
points day here for Dakota Floyd, and I know the 57 looking sharp out there, and I'm not, tooting my own horn or anything, but, it's very distinguished. It's easy to see where you are on the racetrack. Doing that paint scheme justice here today. Gorilla Glue, Lick 'em and Stick 'em, I believe is the team name.
Yeah, Lick It and Stick It Motorsports.
Lick It and Stick It. There we go. So outside of that, though, Dakota, anybody else you want to shout out for getting this top 3?
Well, definitely want to shout out, Richie. Me and him are a duo this season, and I know he had a bit of a rough race. I really feel it for him. He had a really fast truck, and I was hoping he'd get up there to put the team on the podium, but I know he was having a rough one, so I hope his luck starts to turn around. Shout out to the field. It was really good racing with Grant there. Was glad to have someone to race around to chase and have someone chase me to keep me honest. Thanks to the league, it's been awesome first 2 weeks so far, and everybody's really good in this field, so the competition's fierce, and just the way I like it keeps me honest. Thank you and Vspeed for everything you guys do. Broadcasts are phenomenal to go back and watch, as always. And thank you to everyone that watches.
Go to Floyd, second place here from the Glen. We'll see you in 1 week's time.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
And I had that prepared for exactly where we were going next week, and I'll get that information again on my screen in just a moment. But while we do that, we're going to pull Grant Thorpe up here. This is your third place finisher here tonight from Watkins Glen. Grant, I know that there was mistakes were made. I saw it pop up on the feed, and it just took an off track, maybe, a little wheel hop, a little tire spin, whatever the case may be. But, 5/10, 8/10 goes away really, really quickly with just one little miscalculation. How frustrating was that tonight?
I mean, it's certainly frustrating, but it happens. I don't run enough road courses to be super dialed in, so I was just happy it was just the one mistake. I just couldn't make up for it, unfortunately. Dakota was super smooth the whole rest of the race, and then Jeremy was kind of in his own zip code there, unfortunately. Didn't have anything for him, but it was a good time.
Well, we come here and I officially got it in my hands now. I know the information. We're going to Rockingham next week. It's one of the tracks that's actually coming back to the Xfinity and the truck schedule in real life. And I'm super excited. I don't know if you've heard the news, but Casey Kane's coming back out for that one. So, the excitement there. But for race number 3, this schedule, it's just, it's off the norm. But you guys are doing a fantastic job. You went to Chicagoland, had a really good race. You come here, and I don't recall really seeing anybody get into each other. It was mostly just wheel hop and self spin. And then you're going to go to Rockingham. Do you think we're going to see more of the same?
I certainly hope so. I think we've put together a really good group of guys in this league. People are getting more and more familiar with one another too, so they can kind of lean on each other, trust each other, and not take each other out along the way. So hoping that continues. Obviously, Rockingham, it's a super tough track to get around. So hopefully everyone kind of takes it easy going into that. But I've just truly enjoyed kind of running this a little bit off the norm schedule, as you put it. Just try to do all these different tracks. Sometimes it gets a little redundant running the same schedule as everyone else and stuff.
Trust me, I know. I think I did 17 broadcasts at Daytona this past month, so I understand.
Yeah, so it's fun to change things up, give people a taste of just something different because all the officials are at the same track, all these leagues are at the same track. Not that that's a bad thing. It's a ton of fun from a practice perspective when you run these other leagues, but it's nice to change things up.
Well, Grant, anybody you want to shout out here that put the Dollar General 77 in the podium?
It's one shout out, Michael Reed. He didn't have quite the showing he was hoping, but he came out, toughed it out, tried to maximize the day. So I'm happy for him doing that. And then, of course, always want to thank you for coming out, broadcasting this for us. You always do such a great job. So the admin team for the Truck Series, we appreciate it, as well as just Racing Revolution in general.
Grant Thorpe, 3rd place here tonight. Going to go on to Rockingham. Still a lot of racing left to be done. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
And with that, we are going to conclude our coverage here on Vspeed. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. 33% of you that watch these broadcasts have still not done that. The 66% club is beating you in the metrics right now. It's usually the opposite for a lot of channels. They have more non-subscribed people watching, and I really don't want to go to that trend. So 33% of you, it's as simple as just clicking that button. You'll get live alerts for any league when they go green, and you'll never miss a single race here all season long. For everybody that made this possible, Racing Revolution, Coastal Financial, everyone that put this show on, Rob Rader, Nick Alves, and all the admin team, our background mechanic, Adam Baker, making these overlays, making things look pretty, Logan Threlkeld, Morgan Cook, Christian Hill, Eddie Smith, our other producers. This is Bradley Cooper saying so long from the Enginuity Power Systems Race at the Glen. Until then, to Rockingham. Stay tracked.